Were you ever a Sam Harris fan? Now, I personally was. I read several of his books. I thought he was a very interesting guy, a very interesting thinker, extremely articulate. I didn't agree with everything he had to say, but I thought he was worth listening to. And then Trump broke his brain. Maybe it's a combination of Trump breaking his brain and maybe just too much meditation, maybe too much mindfulness. Maybe it's just, like anything, you can have too much of a good thing. Something happened because Sam Harris isn't making a lot of sense anymore. I mean, we all remember this, right?
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's life. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if Joe, whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved.
Ooh. Yeah. He should have known that wasn't going to go over very well. But I mean, at least he was honest, at least. I mean, you can say that. It's just, yeah. Oh boy. Well, anyway, he's at it again. Yeah, he's been thinking about people who have some questions about the jab and lockdowns and, maybe we didn't do everything quite perfectly during the pandemic. And really, I don't know, it might have been better if he just got on a silent retreat. Let's take a look.
In one way, we got very lucky that COVID wasn't worse than it was, right? It could have been much, much worse. It could have been 10 times as deadly or 50 times as deadly. And we would have lived through, or many of us wouldn't have lived through something truly awful. But had COVID been worse, just enough worse to really get our attention, to really be undeniable, we would have had a different political conversation around it. There wouldn't have been the same kind of vaccine skepticism.
Okay, so if it had been different, we would have had a different reaction. That's what he's saying. If it had been more dangerous than it was, we would have treated it as if it were more dangerous. That's true, but let's see where he's going with this.
There wouldn't have been the same kind of vaccine skepticism. Brett Weinstein would not have been releasing 80 straight podcasts on the dangers of the vaccine if a few variables were changed. I mean, just take that, leave COVID exactly as it is, but just make it preferentially dangerous to children rather than to old people, right? You just flip that around, the variable of age. If kids were dying by the hundreds of thousands from COVID at a rate of whatever it was, 1%, say, but if it was pretty much all kids, we would have had a very different experience.
So again, if it had been completely different, we would have had a different experience. Okay. But why would there have been less concern about a brand new medical technology that had not undergone long-term trials? Because that's been the problem all along, right? Never before have we just rushed something out without long-term trials. It's just pre-coof, that would have seemed absurd. If you go to a doctor and he diagnosed you with a disease and he said, I'm going to prescribe you this, and there's been no long-term testing on this, and it's brand new, but I've just got a good feeling. Like, nobody would have accepted that, not unless it was a terminal case or something. So of course there would still be questions about that medical technology, the same as there would have always have been, at least prior to 2020. But anyway, let's continue.
And you change one other variable. What if the vaccines actually really did block transmission much better than they in fact did? Right. And there was a moment where it was only rational to expect them to block transmission.
Jesus. What? Well, I mean, what if they actually worked? Then I'd totally be right. Then I would have been right all along. If everything about the coof had been different, and if everything about the jab had been different, I totally would have been right. This is actually sad. So anyway, there we have it. Sam Harris thinks if everything were different, he would have been proved right. And I guess he's correct about that. And I guess the rest of us can just talk about what's really happening in the real world right now. Anyway, please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.